Now, my last trip to the east coast had me chasing waterfalls, from the running Rere Falls to the roar of those in Motu, halfway between Gisborne and Whakatane. It was here that I met a sharp couple who have found a new way to repurpose deer antlers. That rushing sound is the Motu Falls, located about an hour northwest of Gisborne. On the hill just above me live Jacinda and Richy Sheridan, a couple turning deer antlers into beautiful treasures that last a lifetime.
I'm Jacinda Sheridan. We live in Motu, northwest of Gisborne. We're farming, but we're here for Sheridan hunting knives, so I am the artist behind the business.
And I am possibly the brawn. Putting the knives together is my job. Jacinda designs the carvings, and we just go like that here at this stage. I like it here because it's an isolated block. Yeah, sheep and beef currently running 470 hectares in Motu. Just straight sheep and beef. It suits me, suits my lifestyle. Yeah, it's a real cool place to work in.
And how did you guys start the knife carving business, I suppose? When did that start, and how did you get into it? Was it sort of a hobby initially?
Yeah, well, I started 30 years ago as a whole hobby. I was making them out of the cross-cut saw blades that you cut the big old trees down. And that slowly progressed into antler handles. And right at the beginning, I'd ball the antler handles to soften the bone marrow in the middle so I can whack the blade into them. And then that progressed on to putting a bunch of brass on the back of them, right down to $2 coins. I found brass complemented the antler, and it just made it look a lot more prettier. And over time, it's just progressed into proper brass bar, proper handle, glue. Everything's pretty much uniformed. Very made pretty much the same way, and the carving now. So my wife does the carving.
Rich always made knives. That was a hobby of his. We were living way up the coast on a station called Pukitoro, and it actually rained for 3 weeks. There'd been this Dremel sitting in the shed for about 18 months, and out came the Strevel, and out came the knife work, and Rich is on YouTube, and he's figuring out how to carve, and I'm looking over his shoulder going, that horse looks like a cow. And it sort of went from there. I took a turn at it, and I was actually quite good at it, and showing them to our shepherds and stuff, and they were encouraging us to, and wanted us to make them for them, put their names on them and things like that, and then suggested we use social media. So that was 12 years ago or something, and initially just putting them on our own pages, our personal pages, and throughout friends and stuff like that, and then actually building a business page and going from there.
The couple run Sheridan hunting knives from home, operating out of a spare shed between working jobs on the farm. I suppose one of the good things about being on farm is there's always lots of out sheds you can turn into studios. And
That we share.
Yeah.
In town we had a workshop, and then we had the studio the shop that we worked from as well.
Yeah.
So I could do a lot of engraving and stuff in the shop quietly. Yeah, now we make do with what we've got, which is a shed.
Well, it's a well-stocked shed as well.
Yeah.
Oh. See some farm dogs, and we've got some chooks wandering around.
Yeah, chooks.
Yeah.
Keep you company.
Yeah.
As you can see there, there's lots of handler. I'm actually down to just about no handles left.
I can see, because some of these are cut, and so
Yeah, I cut the big stuff off.
Yeah.
Ones that we've used.
Do you mind if I ask what you do with the leftover bits?
So we trade it for we go to Antler Merchant and we trade it. Just he gives me what stuff that I want, and he takes what I don't need. So it works both ways. Yeah, it's quite good. It's getting quite hard to sort of source these days because it's worth a bit of money. But yeah, there's ways around it.
Red deer are the most common species found in New Zealand, being both farmed for venison meat and velvet and running wild as a pest species. Lucky for the Sheridans, who find it's the easiest type of antler to work with.
It's very, very tricky to find the right size of antler. It's got to be the right size, right colour, right shape, so that can be a bit tedious. But I do have lots of friends that are hunters, and we did deal with the Antler Merchant, and I'd go and see him. It's a natural resource of the country that's quite good to be able to use rather than just hang on a wall as such. And people get a lot of enjoyment out of their knife being made out of their stag. It just gives it a bit extra personal thing. But saying that not all people's knives, probably 90% of them are antler that I have sourced. Yeah, but pretty much.
And all types of deer as well?
All types of deer, right down to, Samba, Roosa, Sika, Fallow, Reds. Haven't done any Wapiti, not I can remember Wapiti ones, but no, so yeah, it's pretty much all types of deer antler.
Most of the antler we are doing for most of our customers is red deer.
Yep, red deer.
Yeah, but we, if we acquire bits of Samba or a Sika and things like that, we save those for those one-off sort of custom orders.
Is there, do you find one species of deer antler easier to work with when you're carving, or...?
100% red deer.
Red deer.
Yeah. Antler is really tricky. It's not like carving sheep bone or beef bone or anything. It's it bites in. So the less grain or bark, you could call it, the exterior of the antler, the easier it is once I strip it back. Yeah.
Yeah, the harder the shell seems to be better. So deer antler obviously isn't like a normal bone, and it has a bone marrow as such. And some of the deer antler has a thicker wall. I mean, the outside wall with less bone marrow. And the thicker the wall, the better it is for us. Well, for JC to carve, because it's a solider surface. So yeah, you'll get like the likes of fallow deer. It's got a very skinny wall. Yeah. With a big, large amount of bone marrow, and you go down to Roosa and Sika, they have a big thick wall, and those knives are always a bit heavier because of the density of the wall, and they actually make a prettier knife, and this makes it a bit easier for JC to carve those denser walls.
Do you want to show me how it's done? What does it start with?
Well, it starts with just a natural deer antler handle, just like that. Brass bar, which is that stuff there, and I put that on there and draw around the antler so I get the shape, draw a finger guard, and then more or less just shape it up on this little linisher here. This is the linisher. Use all sorts of different kinds of sandpaper grit. As the front will go on, I cut the knife a wee hole where the knife's going to go in, then hollow out the bit of the antler, and then shape the knife twang to fit the antler. Every antler is different, so every twang's different. Nothing's ever the same. There's never two pieces of antler the same in the world. They might be similar, but they're never exactly the same. So every knife is one of a kind. To be fair,
That's pretty cool.
There's no ifs or buts about it. I can't. They're all unique. And then obviously bang it all together. Put the brass bar on, shine them all up, and happy days. Yeah, it's a bit of a process. It does take time, but no, it's good. So the antler goes in there, and then I proceed to whack the blade in with the hammer, which will. Once the blade's in, we go to the next step, and that's putting it back on the brass button.
How many hours would you say roughly goes into kind of start to finish for say one knife?
Probably say 3.5 to 4 hours.
Wow, so a lot of time, and
yeah.
Is it quite hard juggling that side of the business with running a farm as well, or being involved in the running of one?
Yes, it is. Because I'm obviously busy man on the farm, and it does take up time. Yes, definitely takes up time. But we sort of like it. We're passionate about it, and it's just a cool thing. Yeah, I really enjoy it.
Yeah, we're at home a lot. I mean, we love where we live. We're not really remote. We're only about an hour from town, but we're the last house at the end of the road, and we're homebodies. We like to stay at home. We like where we live. That's why we live here. So yeah, it's a little bit of a work-life balance. Typically, most our orders are made to order, so our turnaround we say is 4 weeks. I mean, you could always get your order earlier than that, but It's about balancing, Rich? Balancing farm work, weekends, 3 children, and the side hustle, So we've been back on farm for 4 to 5 years now. Yep. When we were full-time, I actually wouldn't even be able to put a number on it, but we've made thousands. I'd say we're well into the thousands now, It can be a feast or a famine now that we've sort of slowed it down and we do an organic trade. But I don't know, Rich, where would you put it at?
Oh, easily 100 a year, I would think. Well, we're not actually, haven't actually sat down and worked it out. It's just not one sort of stuff that we do, but you'd be talking over the years in the thousands. Definitely in the thousands.
So originally, like Richie said earlier, he was making them out of old crosscut blades. When we decided to make this into a bit of a full-time gig business, we had to be a little bit more sharper. I mean, if we carried on doing the crosscut blades, we pretty much outpriced ourselves in the market and we couldn't make a mainstream business. So we decided to source a New Zealand-made knife blank. Luckily enough, we were able to do that. So the stainless steel itself is imported from Germany, but the blades are manufactured and fabricated within New Zealand. So making our entire product 100% New Zealand made, which is fantastic.
Jacinda's carvings in the handle of the knife add to what make them so unique. After many years' experience, she's got a good eye and a steady hand, though it still pays to double-check the spelling sometimes.
So once Richie's finished with making the knife and we've fabricated the brass and put it together in bits and pieces, then it comes to me for carving. I might do a team of dogs, or I might do a guy or a woman on horseback with a team of dogs, hunting scenes, stags, roaring stags, fighting, dogs bailing boars. But, I also get those one-off commission custom things as well, which might be their Scottish crest or some other out-of-the-box sort of thing. Duck hunting scenes, trout, marlin, you name it.
Right down to rodeo, whatever they want really we can carve. It's not really an issue, but it's quite entertaining sometimes what they want carved.
Helicopters mustering Brahman cattle and some of those Aussie clients, and there's nothing that really we can't do it, but the artwork that I do is silhouette carved. There's a lot of cleaning up that I have to do on the front of the front finger guard with the blade from residue brass and glue, so I tidy all that up. And then I'll obviously brand it, so I sign it off that we've made it and the year that it's been produced, which is quite cool when people come back and say, oh, well, I've had this because it's the years on the blade and all good things like that. And then it's a matter of looking at their actual order and what they want and making sure I spell it right. I've done that a couple of times. I wouldn't want to be doing it now that we're 10 years deep, but accidents have happened. It's a matter of stripping back what I call the bark of the antler. So I take it back to the white bone, and then I'll etch the scene or the name or Pacifics, whatever they like, onto it. Strip all the antler away so it produces a pop of the picture, silt it out, and then lacquer it up so that the picture holds. A lot of people have blade engraving as well, or brass bolster engraving, like it might be a significant 60th birthday present or what have you. So I'll engrave on the brass end of the knife, or an inscription on the blade. Bits and pieces like that. Then it goes to dry, and I typically leave them to set for at least 24 hours. I'll re-lacquer it again, leave it to set for another 24 hours, and then box it all together, polish it all up, take all the stripping tape that I've used and covered up the metals with while I've been doing the lacquer process, and polish her all up and put her together and post her off where she's meant to go. So this knife I've got here is not the knife that I want. This knife. That's the knife. So this knife that I've got here, Young Farmers have created a Tairāwhiti group, so for the Gisborne region. Hasn't been a staunch following within Gisborne, so it's great that they're getting on board and getting that going. So they've got a bar cup and we've sponsored a knife. So I'm just going to engrave the blade with Gisborne Young Farmers Bar Cup 2024.
And it's got 3 lovely little barking dogs just to match.
Yeah.
Yeah, in silhouette. Beautiful.
Okay, so just... There's no way to sort of keep this streamlined because every piece of antler is different. Every knife takes its own shape. So when it comes to the placement of the engraving on the blade, I sort of just have to do it by eye and then find a centre point. So I just sort of get my lines here and I sort of just put a rough line on the blade just so it's within proportion. This one's going to have 2 lines on it. The bit I use is a diamond edged bit for the engraving. That's the only thing that's going to work with stainless steel.
Almost looks like a shearing handpiece, the way it's set up and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One bit. One that holds.
The knives carry a great deal of sentimental value, and the couple enjoy the variety of requests they've had over the years.
A lot of our gifts are really sentimental gifts, like we might be asked to use someone's own antler of their grandfather shot a stag and then his son's now getting his first knife and into hunting or going farming or something like that. So there's a lot of sentimentalness behind a lot of the knives that we build. Wedding gifts, 21st gifts, you name it. Like, we do a lot, and we do a lot for a lot of different kind of people, but predominantly farmers, hunters. Yeah, occasionally we had this lovely guy once, his grandfather was a greengrocer, and he asked us to rebuild his grandfather's knife in our style. But yeah, it was his greengrocer's knife that he used for opening the old veggie boxes and stuff. So I mean, we get a lot of out-of-the-box stuff, not stock standard as well, but yeah, it's quite colourful.
Yeah, the personal side of the knives, like when you put a person's name in their knife, whether it's a grandfather or sons, daughters, it just becomes I think it's more of a personal thing, and they seem to really enjoy having that, and they have it for the rest of their life. I find that's probably the main point of difference with the knives to compare to other knives for sale in the country.
What would an item like this kind of set you back, roughly?
Knives, stock standard hunting, rural farm knives, kitchen knives, they are a set price of $229.99. From there you build on it. So if you are after carving and or blade engraving, that'll cost you additional. I don't price it as in the art, I just prices it as in, the time and detail that goes into it. So carving can sort of start from around $50 to $60, $35 if it's just initials, and blade engraving starts from about $25. Yeah, you can add sheath and steel combos to that, it's $125. So if you were just looking at a knife with a sheath and steel and your name carved into it, you'd be looking just over $400 plus postage. Yeah.
What's the general kind of like lifespan of a knife like this if someone's looking after it?
Oh, it would last you forever. Yeah. I mean, unless it was high use. If it was high use, then you are, like anything, you're going to whittle your blade down, Rich? What would you say about that?
Yeah, anything between, I would think, anywhere between 10 to 15, 20 years, depending on the use. They are organic matter. And you do not want to put them in the dishwasher as such, or wash them in hot water. But because we lacquer them with the spray coat a couple of times, that sort of tends to keep all the moisture out of them. But to be fair, they should last you a lifetime, unless, like JC said, it's very high use and they wear out the blade. You have to be doing a lot of use to wear out the blade because they're high quality stainless steel, and they should last a long time.
With a final polish, it's done. and off to find a new home with the local Young Farmers chapter. That was Jacinda and Richy Sheridan I was talking to, at their home above the Motu Falls near Gisborne.